Allow me to reintroduce myself to you. My name is Jason Michaels, and in the past 5, 6, 7 minutes, I have just done 2 impossible things. The first impossible thing that I did was to step out on stage with Tourette's syndrome. The second thing that I did was to escape from a straitjacket, something that it was believed for over 100 years could not be done. Now, I think it's probably a good idea because I mentioned that one of the things that I did that was impossible was to step on stage with Tourette's. So maybe I should explain. I've described it. Let me explain to you, for the few of you who may not have ever heard of Tourette's or may not know exactly what it is. Tourette's syndrome is a neurological disorder. It's a brain disorder. It's a genetic disorder. It's passed down from parent to child. It manifests itself as uncontrollable movements, twitches, vocalizations that doctors refer to as tics. Most people that have heard of Tourette's syndrome have heard of that. They hear it's that strange sort of disorder that makes people curse uncontrollably and makes all of you very uncomfortable. You can relax, because I don't have that version of it. Well, unless I'm playing golf. And then I have a hell of a case of it. Is it impossible to step out on stage with Tourette's? I guess that ultimately is something that you would have to ask someone about. And that's why I brought a copy of this magazine. This is a magazine called Genie Magazine. It is like a 100-year-old magazine that magicians have been getting for years and subscribing to. And in this magazine, there's all sorts of news about the magic community and all the different things that entails. About 10, 12 years ago, there was an article written about me in the magazine, and it was about a first impression. And so I want to share with you a first impression, someone's thoughts on that first impression. And here's what the person who is now a very close friend of mine, here's what they said. 10 years ago, I was preparing to MC a show for the local magic club in Nashville. Backstage, I saw this kid sitting next to some magic props. As I looked in his direction, he suddenly jerked. He did it again. I began to watch. He was constantly moving from minor tics to wild jerking motions. I wondered how this kid had gotten back here and why he was sitting next to a table full of magic. I was sure he was going to knock everything off the table at any moment. When I was given the names of the performers for the show, there was one name I did not know: Jason Michaels. Yep, he was the kid I was sure was going to be causing the loud crashing noise at any second. During the show, I introduced Jason, then went around to see what he was going to try to do. He was terrific. There were absolutely no signs of the trouble he was having backstage. You see, my friend, someone who didn't know me at the time, but my friend, his first impression was that I wouldn't even be able to function on stage, much less actually stand up in front of an audience and do anything impressive. Which leads us to the question, what is impossible? But maybe a better question to ask is, what is possible? Do you know that if you went to the mathematics department at any major university and asked a specialist in something that is called topology, if you asked them and said, is it possible to tie a knot in a piece of rope without letting go of the ends, that person would tell you that it is impossible to tie a knot in a piece of rope without letting go of the ends in a 3-dimensional world. Watch close. So far, so good? Yes? Watch close. Have I let go? No? Continue watching. That was the tricky part. Are we still good? Okay. Watch close. 1, 2, 3, just like so. That is a knot. Make sure that is a knot. Make sure that's not some sort of a fake knot or a magic knot, but is it really a knot? Just a moment ago, we just agreed that it is impossible to tie a knot in a piece of rope without letting go of the ends. And now maybe we're starting to realize that the things that we think are impossible are not actually impossible. You see, there are people in the world every single day, not just in the world, but in our worlds, the worlds that we inhabit, and the people that we know, that will tell us that things are impossible. Do you guys know that it's impossible for steel boats to float? But they do. We have medicine today that when I was a teenager, there were illnesses and sicknesses that were fatal, guaranteed death. And you had to suffer through it. And now those same illnesses are easily managed and sometimes even cured by things that was impossible. It was an impossible thing. These medicines didn't exist and they were fatal. But now we have things that make these type of illnesses that you can live with. And it's not bad. What about sports? Men and women who work hard are able to break impossible barriers in sports every single year. My life, you see, impossible breakthroughs happen all the time.